something nice to eat for lunch. It really isn't too much to ask for. I think that's something everybody should just be concentrating on. Something nice to eat for lunch. Yeah. Instead of having to make money to buy it, you should just be able to grow it. Everybody should have enough land to grow a nice vegetable like this. That is a nice vegetable. This is my lineup of kohlrabies. I just took the next one in line. Now the next one is going to get sunlight and it's going to start growing. And I'll clip that in 3-4 days maybe. And then the next one in line is going to get more sunlight and it's going to grow. And then I'll clip that, and then the next one. Let's see, I got to get it in there. Next one, that'll grow, and then the next one. That's how this works. Always the front one shades the rest and slows them down. That's what you want. You want them to slow down. Except for the one on the outside. And you pick that, and after you pick that, then the next one grows. And there's my kohlrabi, all washed up, ready to be brought inside. And I also picked onions and beets. I've got a small bed that has both onions and beets in it. I've shown it on YouTube many times. I just walked up to it and I pulled 5 plants and I've got a full body vegetables for lunch today. These leaves are, beet leaves are edible as well. That looks really nice right there. Okay. Service berries. June berries maybe, I can't forget. I think they're both the same. We got some that are bagged up. I think they're ripe in there too. Tomorrow morning I'll go through them. These are nice. Each one of these containers represents enough Imperial White currant juice to add to a smoothie. Mixed in with other berries and yogurt. And I'm going to save them for this winter. That's I don't know how many ounces it is. That'll just be added to a bunch of berries and yogurt, blended up. And that is dessert for the winter time. Hidden in this jungle of tayberries is a special type of a rhubarb. Right here. I don't even know if I got the tag down in here anymore. Some French thing. Oh, there it is. I think it's a French thing anyway. Rhubarb. So it doesn't get a lot of sun in here. It's got to be very tender. I want to make some port. Mix it with bananas. It's a tangled up mess. That's for sure. That's going to be a big handful there. The neighbor's cutting his lawn. There it is. That's my take. You can see I cut them all kind of high. There's more oxalic acid up in the leaves. And I think there's more in the stem here, close to the leaf, so I cut it kind of high. There's the job done. I peeled most of them. The bigger ones especially. Boy, they're really green. Some of them were pretty tough. And some were just very tender. That's going to be a good mixture. I'm going to go ahead and wash them up really good and put them in a jar and ferment them. Oh, here are rhubarb. It exactly fit into a half-gallon jar. And located it throughout, I've mixed in some spearmint leaves. So we're hoping it gives it a nice spearmint flavor. I've got the salt in here already, so now all I got to do is add my spring water and crank that cover on there tight and let it ferment. I'll get back to you on it. I weeded out the potato onions, and one of them I yanked out of here. That's what it looks like. This is a tenner. And that one is getting close to being respectable. But my practice has been to eat the biggest ones and eat the smallest ones. Save the medium size for replanting. I'm definitely getting behind on my jalapeno picking. Gotta do it. These right here are some big peas. A little bit of meal gathering here, purslane, potato onions, peas, and garlic bulbils. Eating peas, and look at, I actually have one with 10 peas in it. A pod with 10 peas. You can count them in there. Cool. That is a gooseberry. I come back into my little wild corridor here. The corridor being a buffering zone between the neighbor's lawn grass and my gardens. And I've got garlic that's been growing here for years, and I'm gonna actually harvest the bulbils too. I already got a pocket full as I walked in through here. I just get more food here, and I didn't plant these but like 20 years ago. This whole corridor here that I'm growing in. I'm gonna harvest them and add them to more meals. I've climbed up the ladder and I'm in the mulberry tree, and I get to eat a few mulberries. Even though the birds are feasting on these things. And that's what this tree back here is meant for. It keeps the birds out of the main crop gardens. And I still get a little bit of a yield here. I just picked white currants from right below the shade of this tree, and soon I'll be picking black currants. And there's 2 bushes of those down here. Now they don't make huge yields because they're in the shade, but they make a yield. And this tree in this buffering zone also serves as a barrier between the neighbor's lawn grass and my gardens over here. If I could see some more berries over there. And I'm kind of taking advantage of the neighbor's space because my branches are overhanging. I suppose technically you could tell me I can't pick those. He would come here and pick them himself and I wouldn't have to pick them. That'd be alright. So I stood on the very top part of that ladder and climbed in that tree a little bit, and I ate a couple of them, and then I thought, oh, I'll come down here and show you what I'm picking. The red ones aren't really that sweet, but they're still soft and they're tasty. And the blacker they are, the sweeter they are. So on those limbs, I was able to just grab them and they bend. They bent all the way over here without breaking. So these mulberry branches are very limber. Oh, and we also have gooseberries growing underneath these mulberry trees. This is the one I've been picking from right here. Gooseberries, and then there's red currants. I gotta come back and pick these too. Right now we're doing white ones. I got one more bush in here to clean out, and a couple more bushes up in the food forest, and the whites are done. And I also harvested garlic bulbils. I got my pocket full of them right now, right here. Look at that. Big pocket full of them. Oh! There's an Orris 8 bush here too. That's a currant gooseberry cross. Oh, there's 2 of them there, pretty right. There's something wrong with this bush though. It's just not robust as it was. And the one difference that I can think of is now that the mulberry trees are growing up, it's probably maybe they need more sun. They're good to eat though. Here's another one. There's another one. That's just a single. I don't have just singles very often. You normally divide like that. And this is really nice here. There's 3 of them. 3 nice big ones. Just that little handful that I just picked. Look at that. And I got a whole row of them over here. So next, oh, I just pulled a pea out. Well, I guess that's okay. Doesn't have any peas left. Oh yeah, it's got some peas right on the top. Look at it. And they're all full, ready to go. Good, I'll use peas for a meal tonight. I got more to pick, but that's one row here. The French shallots. Let's go separate them, and we're going to do something special. Found my strings in the box. These strings I've been using for years, just the way they are. So I'm going to need some short ones here first, I think. Here's a short one. You can see I got loops in them. Now we're going to separate them a little bit. We want them to dry out, so being together they probably wouldn't dry out as fast. And I kind of sort them a little bit. The really small ones I don't save for storage. These are the candidates for eating because they're larger. After they dry and I get a tally as to how many I have totally, you know, I only want to save about somewhere between 50 and 100 of them. 50 is good. But after they dried, I'll sort them out. I'll know how many I have, and I'll look for those 50 that are in the middle. The 50 medium-sized ones. Something like these guys here. Well, this one might be a little bigger. Something like this one is what I've been saving and replanting. The smaller the bulb, the less chance there's like 10 eyes in it. See, when you got one like here, here's one here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 5 onions growing in here, but look at how small they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what happens. Okay, and I mean, I'll eat those. I mess with them, especially in the morning for breakfast. That's a nice exercise to work through all this stuff. But this isn't what we really want. We want these large ones, but we don't want them all to be that large. If they're large like this, I said that all wrong. So this is what you get if you plant a large one. There's a lot of eyes. You really don't want to be replanting the largest ones. But the mediums ones will have like 3 or 4 eyes. Those are the ones you want to grow. If you get 3 or 4 together, then they get to be pretty large. Okay. We'll see if I can edit something out of that. There's another one with little ones. With all of that garbly gook I was talking about there. That's what most people are probably thinking, what the hell is he talking about? He probably doesn't even know what he's talking about himself. Well, maybe not. As long as I keep saying everything's an experiment, I'm not going to make anybody upset. And you go to some people's channels and they'll tell you, oh, this is the way to do it for sure. This is the one and true way. Well, that doesn't really work out all the time. So it might be a good way to do it in some circumstances, maybe in most circumstances. Not always. Alright, there's a nice batch of right there. Nicely separated. Now we've got to take our string. Kind of windy out here. That's one.
others too. There. Look at that. French shallots. That's only for one row. I planted them very densely. Plus I got all these little ones here that I'm going to bring in, and we're going to eat those right away. The smaller they are, the less amount of time that they'll be viable in storage. You gotta like that. There's nothing like it right here. French shallots. I don't know why they're called French, but I'll call them French shallots if that's what they're called. You see they got a little pinkish, reddish hue to them. That shows up on the camera. Yep. Now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with them. Let me go do it, and then I'll get the camera and show you. And there's the little ones. That'll be a few meals worth right there. And I've got more to pick, mind you. Now we're coming back here to the shed entrance door. And this is kind of an airy, open air shed here. And there are our shallots. You can see the wind is whipping through here. It's even moving them around. What's going to happen is those green stems will be sending all their nutrients into those bulbs and drying out. And once they're totally dry, and even then you should leave them hanging for another week or two, because there'll be some moisture in right by the bulb. Once that's totally dry, now those shallots are going to be good to store for as long as they'll remain viable. Sometimes I can get them to last even into the summer, so maybe not quite a year. They're pretty tough. If you dry them properly, they can. But we'll have them ate before then, and of course in April we'll be planting whatever bulbs I've selected for replanting.